The words echoed ominously in Sarah's mind as she stared at the ceiling fan whirring above her. God, this member in your family is going to leave you forever and never return. It was a line she had heard from a fortune teller years ago. At the time, she brushed it off as a mere scare tactic meant to extort money. But now, as she sat by her mother's hospital bed, the prophecy gnawed at her consciousness. Please like and subscribe to my channel Seraphic Tales for more interesting videos. Sarah's mother, Jane, had been battling cancer for the past year. The doctors had tried every treatment available, but the disease had relentlessly spread. As she watched the once vibrant woman deteriorate, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of dread and helplessness. The inevitability of loss hung heavily in the air, much like the sterile smell of antiseptics that pervaded the hospital room. The early days. Jane had always been the backbone of the family. A single mother, she worked tirelessly to provide for Sarah and her younger brother, Tom. Despite the hardships, she maintained an infectious optimism and an unwavering strength that inspired everyone around her. Her laughter could brighten the darkest days, and her wisdom guided Sarah and Tom through their tumultuous teenage years. The family's home was a modest two-bedroom house on the outskirts of town. It wasn't much, but Jane made it a sanctuary of warmth and love. She had a green thumb and turned their little backyard into a blooming paradise, complete with a vegetable garden and a variety of flowers. Sunday afternoons were spent tending to the garden, with Jane imparting her knowledge to her children. Gardening is a lot like life, she would say. You have to nurture what you love, be patient, and deal with the weeds as they come. Jane's illness had cast a long shadow over these cherished moments. The garden, once a symbol of hope and renewal, now stood neglected. Sarah couldn't bring herself to tend to it without her mother's guidance. The diagnosis. The first sign that something was wrong came when Jane started losing weight. She dismissed it as stress and overwork, but Sarah insisted she see a doctor. When the diagnosis came, it felt like the ground had been pulled out from under their feet. Stage 3 breast cancer. The prognosis was grim, but Jane faced it with her characteristic determination. We'll fight this, she told Sarah and Tom. We're strong, and we'll get through this together. The initial rounds of chemotherapy were brutal. Jane lost her hair, her energy, and sometimes her will to fight. But she never showed it in front of her children. In private moments, Sarah caught glimpses of her mother's vulnerability, silent tears, a wince of pain quickly masked, a hollow look in her eyes that spoke of deep fatigue. Sarah and Tom took on more responsibilities at home. They balanced school, part-time jobs, and caring for their mother. It was exhausting, but they rallied around Jane, forming a fortress of love and support. Neighbors and friends pitched in where they could, cooking meals and offering rides to the hospital. The roller coaster. Cancer treatment is a roller coaster of hope and despair. There were days when Jane seemed almost herself again, laughing and joking, making plans for the future. On those days, it was easy to believe that she would beat this, that life would return to normal. But there were also days when she could barely get out of bed, when the pain was so intense that she couldn't hide it behind a brave smile. One particularly bad night, Jane confessed her fears to Sarah. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to leave you and Tom. There's still so much I want to do, so much I want to see." Sarah held her mother's hand, tears streaming down her face. "We're scared too, Mom. But we'll get through this. We'll find a way." Jane nodded, squeezing her daughter's hand. "Promise me you'll take care of each other. That you'll be strong." "I promise," Sarah said, though the words felt hollow. How could they be strong without their mother, the heart and soul of their family? Acceptance. As the months passed, it became clear that Jane's condition was worsening. The cancer had spread to her lungs and liver, and the treatments were no longer effective. The doctors recommended palliative care, focusing on making her comfortable rather than prolonging her life. Jane accepted this news with a calm resignation that broke Sarah's heart. "I've lived a good life," she told her children. "I've raised 2 amazing kids, and I'm proud of you both. Now it's time for me to rest." Sarah and Tom struggled with this acceptance. It felt like giving up, like they were letting their mother down. But Jane helped them see that accepting the inevitable was not the same as surrendering. It was about finding peace and making the most of the time they had left. Making memories. With the end looming, the family focused on creating lasting memories. They spent lazy afternoons watching Jane's favorite movies, cooked her cherished recipes, and shared stories from the past. Jane's friends and relatives visited frequently, filling the house with laughter and love. One sunny afternoon, Sarah and Tom took Jane to her beloved garden. They helped her plant a few new flowers and weed the beds. Jane's hands, once so strong and capable, trembled with the effort, but her smile was radiant. "This garden will always remind me of you," Sarah said, tears in her eyes. "And it will remind me of all the love and joy we've shared," Jane replied. "Even when I'm gone, I'll be here, in every bloom and every leaf." The final goodbye. The end came quietly, as Jane had wanted. She passed away peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by her children and close friends. Sarah held her mother's hand until the very end, whispering words of love and gratitude. The days following Jane's death were a blur of grief and numbness. There were arrangements to be made, condolences to receive, and a future without their mother to face. Sarah and Tom leaned on each other for support, honoring the promise they had made to their mother. The funeral was a simple, heartfelt affair. Jane was buried in a nearby cemetery, her grave adorned with flowers from her garden. Friends and family shared their memories of her, painting a vivid picture of a woman who had touched so many lives with her kindness and strength. Moving forward, life after Jane's death was an adjustment for Sarah and Tom. The house felt emptier, the days longer, and the silence more profound. But they found solace in the routines and traditions their mother had instilled in them. They took over tending the garden, finding comfort in the familiar tasks and the connection to their mother's spirit. Sarah pursued her dream of becoming a writer, a passion her mother had always encouraged. She poured her grief and love into her stories, finding a therapeutic outlet in her words. Tom, inspired by Jane's strength, decided to study medicine, hoping to help others as the doctors had helped his mother. Though the pain of their loss never fully disappeared, it became a part of who they were, shaping them into stronger, more compassionate individuals. They lived their lives in a way that honored their mother's memory, carrying her lessons and love with them. Reflections on loss. As Sarah sat in the garden one sunny afternoon, she thought about the fortune teller's prophecy. God, this member in your family is going to leave you forever and never return. It had been a warning, a foreshadowing of the inevitable. But it also held a deeper truth. While Jane had left them physically, her presence and influence would never truly fade. Please like and subscribe to my channel Seraphic Tales for more interesting videos. Sarah understood now that life is a series of moments, some filled with joy, others with sorrow. Each moment is a thread in the tapestry of existence, contributing to the richness and complexity of our lives. Jane's departure had left a gaping hole in their tapestry, but it also highlighted the vibrant colors and intricate patterns she had woven into their lives. Loss is an intrinsic part of the human experience. It reminds us of the impermanence of life and the importance of cherishing every moment with our loved ones. Sarah realized that her mother's greatest gift was the way she had lived her life, with courage, love, and an unyielding spirit.